Welcome to the inUpowers podcast, where we give a name and a face to emotion. We discuss the real and raw when it comes to mental and emotional health. We are here to teach you that emotions are information and behavior is a choice. We want to help you make safer connections through healthy communication by empowering you to understand what your emotions are telling you. I'm your host, Tammy Hymas. Let's get started. Welcome to another inUpowers podcast. I'm Tammy Hymas, your host, and today we are with Bailey Spratling. She is one of our licensed counselors, social workers, and she came to us at the end of her graduate work and helped us create a parents course and added so much to the program. Like, you were getting inspiration to see certain things and look at certain things. Like, Tammy, I just have to talk to you. And we had mind-blowing moments.
Yes.
They were so fun. And I'm super excited for you to hear from Bailey because she is a licensed social worker and she's been working with us. And she knows so much. And I'm super grateful you're here. We're honored to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Good. And we, before we get started though, we want to do our Moments Minute. And we want you to be thinking throughout this episode and throughout your week is, how are you being triggered by others? How are your emotions coming up to the surface because of something someone else does? Bailey, does this happen? Are you seeing this?
Oh, yes. I am seeing it. It's pretty amazing. All the time I'll have clients that say, I did not know that was a trigger for me, and it was really unexpected. It doesn't seem related at all. But what we do know about trauma is that triggers can be anything, at any time, anywhere.
And like what? Like what are triggers?
What? Anything. So, sometimes we'll have a child who becomes very upset by something and a parent becomes really aggravated or frustrated by it. We could have a sound, a smell, a sight, anything. Anything can be triggering. But I especially see it with parents who, have young ones and their child says something or does something and it sparks a reaction. Something they didn't anticipate would come up for them. It could be some frustration. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes they didn't realize something was so funny. Sometimes they're very upset by it. They start to worry. They start to panic. It can be anything. It can be really simple.
And do a lot of parents have the coping skills to handle their own triggers, or do they even know that they're triggers?
No, I think that is something that they don't realize is bothering them. They wouldn't probably consider it a trigger. Something that I hear from parents is that, well, this is how my parents reacted and I don't like that, or I want to do it differently. And so they're kind of navigating how they want to parent on their own. They're experimenting with different things, they're exploring, they're becoming more introspective, and sometimes how their child reacts really triggers something from either their childhood or it's unexpected. They don't realize that maybe that was going to be hard for them or upsetting. And so sometimes they do have the coping skills. Sometimes they're really able to say, oh, I know what this is, I know how to handle it. But sometimes I don't think any parent has ever gone without that moment where they're all of a sudden having a moment with their child and something hits and they become upset or they become frustrated and they have to figure out, okay, what do I do with this? This is kind of a lot.
And when you're working with these families and stuff, how has the inUpowers helped the families or helped you with the children understanding and coping with triggers and just being a parent? We really don't come with owner's manuals.
Oh, yeah. There's no manual. The inUpowers have been so relatable. I have found that if I just point to a parent and I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like an et moment. And let me tell you a little bit about what et means and what she represents. And
And go ahead. Some of these listeners might be listening the first time. Explain it to them real quick.
Yeah, it is everything to everyone, which when I see it, I think of a parent, I think of a mother, and that's often who I use it with. And so it is just kind of there for everyone else except for herself. She's shifting as needed. She is wearing a lot of hats. She is being whatever is needed in the moment. And I see that a lot with parents. So sometimes I'll just point out, like, oh, we're kind of having an at moment. We're kind of being everything for everyone, and we're forgetting you. We're forgetting the main person here, the one that's driving the ship. And we need to come back to that. And I've had people say, whoa, yeah, I forgot. Like, I am being everything to everyone and forgetting myself in this. I have to take care of myself before I can just, serve everyone else all the time. I have to put some effort into myself. And the inUpowers are also very calming to look at. They're very approachable. And so I think sometimes parents look at them and they're, oh, those are for kids. But when they start learning about it with kids, you'll see them perk up a little bit. Like, oh, okay, like, I could use this too. This is helpful for me. Like, I relate to this experience in probably a deeper way, maybe, more of an adult way. It means a little different, but they're gaining just as much from it as their child is.
And isn't it true that, they teach you when you go on an airplane, right? That you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself and then you can help someone else. And they also say the best student is the teacher.
Yes.
So if the parents are learning the inUpowers, they're becoming the best students.
Yes, absolutely. And I like that about the parenting course because it has really taught parents how to become introspective and look at themselves first. I think we're very quick to look at our child, like, what do I have to do for my child? How do I fix their issues? But really, children learn through modeling. They're learning by watching you as a parent.
So no matter what, you're an example. You're a good example or a bad example.
Yeah. So if they see you becoming very upset, or they see you're doing everything for yourself, or for them, nothing for yourself.
But there's also those parents that are almost like their child is a burden.
Yeah.
And they make sure their bucket's full. But their children are kind of in the back burner. And that's also a character that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever your child is watching is what they start adopting. There's so many times, even for myself.
Whoa. That's huge. Say it again. I'll help you.
Yeah, you might have to tell me what I said.
I don't know what I said that was amazing. But you guys, listen. What your child is watching is what your child is adopting.
Yeah.
So if you want your child to be a healthy person, then what do you have to be?
Yeah, you have to be a healthy person. You have to adopt the healthy coping. And there's so many times me as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's my parents. Like, I'm doing exactly what my parents did. And some of that is genetic, but a lot of it is also learned. We are learning so much, and children especially are just, they're gathering all the time. They're gathering so much from their interactions as a parent. And so when we as adults are having a moment, when we're triggered by something, when that emotion hits, that moment is so powerful because we are taking an opportunity to stop and reflect of, what do we want to portray here? How do I want to handle this? What do I want my child to see? How do I handle this?
And that is so important because you actually have to recognize that your feelings and your thoughts are not healthy.
Yeah.
And when you're in your storm, I know when I'm in my storm, I'm like, I don't care. I want what I want.
Yes.
That space between stimulus and response, if the storm is really loud, is very small. But if you start practicing this behavior.
Yes. Yeah. One of the cool parts of our parenting workbook that we're developing right now is a moment's plan. So how are you going to handle it when that emotion hits? What are you going to do? If you have a plan beforehand, you do it. It almost becomes the automatic response that you just go and follow the plan. And if you can do that, that becomes the norm. Your child picks up on that. They will start to develop their own set of coping. And as a parent, like, if you yourself can set the expectation, you want your child to behave a certain way, you want them to be able to cope a certain way, how powerful is it if you as the parent can say, okay, I'm doing this too. I'm not expecting anything of my child that I'm not expecting of myself.
Okay, and do you see that? Do you see parents having higher expectations or higher plans or higher, and I'll say this a lot, you'll hear it through my podcast, expectations are premeditated disappointments.
Yeah.
It's when you're writing a narrative for someone else to follow that's impossible because you can't control them. Mm-hmm. But goals and standards and hope and a standard of living is a great way to do it. I say expectations are premeditated disappointments just because we tend to put ideas in place and then the world never turns out the way we planned it in our head. So that's why I say it. But it's important for a parent to model it, but how often do they not?
Yeah, often. Because we're human. We're human, and sometimes we have an idea of how we want things to be, and the reality is kids are kids. They don't know. They're learning for the first time. Some of these emotions are the first times they're experiencing it, and it's a lot. They don't come with a handbook either of how to deal with it. And so sometimes we come in with an expectation of how they're going to deal with it, and we get frustrated when they don't know how yet. And so being able to pause and help them recognize, like, it's okay that you don't know how to deal with this yet. Let's just take a break. Let's figure it out together. And as a parent, like, being able to take those steps first, how comforting to know, like, okay, I did this. Now I can help put that into my child's life, help them navigate that experience as well.
Right? It's like tying a shoe. I know how to tie a shoe, so now I can teach you how to tie your shoe.
Yeah, really powerful. It's really powerful to know that, like, okay, I can do this. I can manage my emotions, which is not an easy thing. It is not easy at all. And so if you feel that confidence, it can be portrayed to your child of, like, you can do this. You can cope with all the challenges that are coming. And you do know the skills. And I believe in you to be able to handle them.
Right? And I believe in you. Not I expect you to be this person or I expect you to be that person. I believe in you.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that, like, what do kids need most from their parents that you're seeing in your practice?
I think unconditional love, their presence.
Whoa. Okay, but do they need their presence with them on the phone, or do they need...
No. No.
Explain to me presence, please, and explain to our podcast family.
I think being able to be an active listener, being able to fully be there for your child, just accepting them for where they're at. I think it's really easy to be in the same room as someone. It's not easy to be tuned in to what's going on with them in that room.
How can parents do that if that's something they've never learned to do?
Tuning into themselves. We got to be able to tune into ourselves before we can tune into others.
Right?
If we're not able to tune into ourselves, know what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're wanting, like, how can we do that for anyone else?
Once again, it's being an example.
Yeah. So being able to tune into yourself and say, okay, I know what I'm feeling. I know what I need. I know how to emotionally regulate all of this, can help you be more present with your child. Because when we're present with ourselves, we're able to be emotionally regulated and we're calm. We're at a state of just peace and calm. And then whatever storm our child may be going through, we're set up to be able to handle it.
Got it. Because you're not triggered.
Right.
Because you've already learned that this is their storm.
Yeah.
And I don't have to bring my storm to their storm.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's normally what happens, huh? That's the autopilot, right?
We're so reactive.
we are.
We just react to our situations.
And that's part of our body chemistry anyway. Because if you saw somebody trip in front of you, you startle too.
Totally. Yeah.
So we naturally react.
Yeah.
But there's a space between stimulus and response.
Totally. Yeah. And it's learning how to find it and, know what to do with it and control.
Like in the parents course with the moments.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is really powerful. It's pretty it's pretty amazing. Sometimes we feel out of control, or we feel like we don't have enough control with our child, but we have control of ourselves.
Right?
And knowing how much power that has, that we have control over ourselves, knowing that that's probably the greatest thing that we can do to help further our child along.
And I don't think we pay attention to the fact that we have the control of our thoughts.
Yes.
We have control of our we don't have control of our feelings. Those will come up with information. But we have control of our thoughts. And if we have negative thoughts about our child, if we have negative thoughts about ourselves, and we have negative thoughts about the world, what happens to our children?
Oh, they know it. They know it. They know when something's going on. I think that's a really pretty amazing thing children can do. They really can read a room. They know when something's going on. And so, and parents have a really hard job in that because things happen.
Right.
They have a hard role in that because they have to kind of be the comfort in that storm. Help their child know that it's okay even when there's a lot going on. There is a storm.
And it's okay to let your children know there's a storm.
Oh, absolutely.
That there is feelings that are big.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're having a hard time processing it. So it's okay if they're having a hard time processing it. Is it correct?
Absolutely.
Or do we always have to be perfect and keep it all together? How is that for our child if we're all perfect and always showing the perfect side of a parent?
It gives a distorted image of the world. It's not accurate. There's always storms going on all the time, whether it's within ourselves or someone else or just society in general. There's always storms. And so it's okay to be honest that things aren't okay. It's okay to be honest that there is a storm, there are some negative emotions, and it portrays the reality that sometimes things don't feel okay. But that is okay, that it's okay, that we know how to work through it. We have the coping skills to be able to handle it.
And we will get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That hope's not lost because we have a plan.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's incredible. Through this process and putting the parents course together and in your practice, what is one thing that is standing out to you that you just want to scream to parents or anybody about the inUpowers program or this or the parents course, any of it? What would you like to tell the world?
Well, I think that I'm always just really impressed by parents. I can see the effort they're putting into their child and how much they care. And I think that a lot of times I see that parents are kind of hard on themselves, or in general, we're just hard on ourselves. We feel like we should do better, can do better. And in a lot of ways we can, but there's also a lot we already are doing.
And we don't give credit for that, do we?
No.
We do a lot of shoulding to ourselves, don't we?
We do. We do.
I should do this, and I should do that, and I should do this, and you just should yourself to death.
Yes. And so I think the biggest takeaway I've had is that people really are trying, and that there is a lot of effort being put out there. And that, honestly, I think parents just want to see their child happy and successful. And I think inUpowers gives tools to be able to do that are relatable, and they go step by step. It covers everything. And so it's good to know that there's so much effort being put forth, and that there are tools and others who see that there is so much effort being put out there and just want to help.
So do you hear that, parents? Because you're trying, you are winning. And with what you're doing right and all the shoulds you have in your head, just stop for a second with the shoulds and pay attention to I dids.
Yeah.
I did this and I did that and I showed up like this. And instead of beating up what you dream of or think about, be grateful for what you've done, because your child automatically is, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. They're amazing, and they learn that, they know that from their parents. So it's awesome. Parents have an amazing role.
They do. And I'm super grateful that we have a parents course coming out and really excited for all the work that you've done. We've had some mind-blowing moments.
We have. Every time we meet, it's amazing. It's just surprising that there's more.
I know. It's like, what else is there?
Yes.
And the best part about it is our hearts are with our human family. Mm-hmm. We want us to be healthier. And we want us to grow stronger as families and communities and as together, just all of us. We want to invite you to pay attention to your triggers. I'm not the psychologist or counselor here, but Bailey is. Bailey, give them some tools to watch for or see if it's a trigger, like something to relate to, so that they can do that this week.
Yeah, one way to watch for triggers is notice any strong emotional reactions and then notice what you're thinking about when that comes up. So it's a thoughts and feelings log. And just note it like, okay, I felt this and this is what I was thinking about. It's a good way to start noticing your triggers.
That is a powerful tool. And the more you notice your triggers and your thoughts and feelings, the more you will be able to recognize those thoughts that might be creating feelings that really aren't serving you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I am so glad you joined us.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I could be here.
Well, we're super happy that she's a part of the inUpowers team. You guys, this is Bailey Spratling. She is our parents' course teacher, facilitator. There's so many words. I don't even have them all, but amazing. It works out best. And we just want to say we wish you the best week. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, remember, emotions are information, and behavior is a choice. Have a great week. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the inUpowers podcast. We are grateful you are here. Please share this podcast with those you know who might need it, and follow and rate us so we can continue providing this podcast to you. Follow us on social media to see more visuals about the inUpowers, and join us next week for another episode. Until then, remember, the power to choose is in you.